All right, hey everybody. I am making this video because it's in response to what happened yesterday, the post that I made. If you're not familiar, there's a post I made on my situation. I did it in kind of solidarity to the others who are experiencing similar things that I'm going through, and especially for teachers and leaders, because it's not just me, it's other teachers and leaders. I'll get to more of that in a minute about that story a little bit. The full story is on my website. It's the first post under my blog right now. And the outpouring of support I was not expecting. I was writing it to mainly process. I needed to process, and I process while I write. And I need to get back to writing my fiction series, and doing that in a form of processing, which I'm going to make a note here just to talk about a little bit as well. If you're here for experiences, there'll be some experiences sprinkled out. This is more going to be just a kind of like a big thank you and a little more about what's going on. If you are interested in a divine counsel transmission, stick around to the end, or at least watch the end of it. There's going to be an opportunity there because of what's going on, and I don't often do things with those. So if you're interested, please pay attention to that. Now, first of all, I released my story yesterday about the situation I'm in, where I have minimal expenses, like really minimal expenses. When it comes down to it, my rent is so cheap, it's not even funny compared to what most people are paying. And I don't buy frivolous things. I don't remember the last time I bought myself something, the last time I bought myself anything, to be honest. I buy things for the work I do. I buy sketchbooks. I buy, like, a few weeks ago, I scrounged up some cash for these, which are the Adopt a Spirit boxes that I'm doing that are new. It's all stuff for my artwork and for doing this work. My enjoyment comes from nature, comes from being free, being on the land, being in those places. And I don't have that capability here because this is the East Coast. I'm in Northeast Ohio. It's leaning more Midwest type of mentality. Very private land. You can't just pull off the side of the road and travel for hours or anything like that. It's not easy to get to spaces. You have to drive to bigger distances to get to some nicer spaces. So I have been in a situation where I felt trapped, like a prison. I had a friend who didn't understand it. When I would say it, I was like, I feel trapped. I feel like I'm in a prison because I'm not free. I can't do what I want to do. I can't just walk out and go into nature. And the winter months are really hard for me because the sun here disappears. I mean, it disappeared for 3-4 months, from like through September through December, and then I took a trip to Arizona end of December. Couldn't afford the trip, but I took it because I was guided to take it for my mental health, and which led to Adopt a Spirit and dragons everywhere and all this cool stuff. And the thing is, most of that trip, like, the cost of me doing those things is very inexpensive. It cost me less than a plane ticket to actually take the trip, 2,000 miles. And so I did it. I was like, fine, I'm gonna do it. Almost didn't make it home because I didn't have gas money to come home. The money that came in December, I did have a transmission come in. It was enough to keep my head above water to pay my bills. And then when January come, everything fell apart. I knew everything was going to fall apart financially in January. I had that feeling, and I could see the writing on the wall because things had started slowing. And even though my expenses are minimal, like I said, my rent is a fraction of what other people pay. it's like $600 a month. It's super cheap where I'm at compared to people paying $1,300 where I used to live. And I know other people. I think others I know are paying like $1,500 to $2,000 depending on where you are in the city. And I wasn't able to afford my rent. February, March, type of thing. I scraped it at the last minute. I was able to get it together. Sold a bunch of stuff off that I had left throughout the months, and now I'm down to bare minimums type of thing. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm not. The point is, I posted that story in solidarity to tell people, hey, you're not alone. I know people going through all these issues, one with toxic mold, one lost their car, another's having financial issues, other stories that have been brought to my attention. They're all leaders, they're all teachers. That's not a coincidence. It's like, what's going on? People are being forced into their more true, authentic selves, being pulled out of the reliance on 3D structures. And for me, that's the reliance on my parents, and the reliance, not really reliance, but this need to take all of my extra money and put it on my debt to try to pay my debt down, which was actually killing me. It was devastating to my journey. If I didn't have the debt that I had built, and I built it. So for a little bit of the backstory, there's more of this on my website. A little bit of the backstory. I started a business in 2009. I left my job right after the economic crash, started freelancing. Not a good time to do it. I built up a lot of debt. In about 2018, I paid it all off. It took me about 10 years to pay off the debt that I paid. Again, limited expenses too. I wasn't living in the city. I was living in the country. But I was just spending money too on comic books and DVDs. I had a 600-piece DVD collection that was used. I was paying like $1 to $5 per DVD, but I had a huge collection. I had like 3,000 trade paperback comic books, which those are the actual books, not the individual issues, plus individual issues on top of it. I had all kinds of stuff. I used to be called the collector because I collected things, rocks, crystals, comics, books, all this stuff. And I used them. I actually, like, my whole thing was, if I bought a comic book, I read it. I didn't let it sit on a shelf. I actually read them, and tried my best to do that. But then when I shifted in 2018, I went, oh, hey, I paid my debt off. Let's do this again. So I started writing and went into my urban fantasy series, the Fae Awakening series, and started writing that. Built up more debt because I stopped taking on projects. I started going, oh, I need to focus on this. And I did it because my guides told me, you will be fine, you will be okay the whole time. This is before I knew ET guides were with me and ETs were around me. So I continued doing this. I went right back into it, okay, paid my debt off, let's go right back into it. But knowing it would be for the greater good of me and my journey, because my guides were actually telling me, do it. Spend money on, like, if I needed books, logos, writing applications, editor, all this stuff. Pay it. Just get into the journey, start doing it. It will come back to you. I started building debt up. Then went to conventions. Conventions were, some of them were like almost break even. Most of them were in the black, very, very much in the black. But I knew from starting in business before and from everything I had read, it takes time. You have to build an audience. Type of thing. I learned very quickly in 2019. I went to, I think over 9 months, I spent, I forget how many conventions. It was insane. I was at a convention almost on an average of every week. doing this stuff for 9 months. Learned very quickly. Every show I watched, other people, what they're doing, all this, figured it out. Started becoming profitable and going, oh, this is going to work out, with my fantasy series. COVID hit, crashed it all to the ground. Now, keep in mind, I had been shifting to do the writing from web development in that business. That was lucrative, becoming lucrative, and built up debt. And then COVID hit, built up debt, as I think everybody did for the most part. Even took some of the government aid. I did not take all of it. It was made very clear to me not to take all of it by spirit. Like, only take what you need. The energy is there for what you need, versus people who were just taking and like using the access to buy all kinds of new stuff rather than actually spend it on their bills. I took what I needed to spend on my bills and keep me afloat. And then when I was in a safe spot, I was like, I'm done. Then I left my ex, and debt increased. Now, over the years, I had moved, like within a year and a half, I had moved twice, paid a bunch for that, which moving's super expensive when you have like a 2-story house and you moving that to an apartment and getting rid of stuff, and long distance moves, all that type of thing. So I built more. I'm telling you all this, and I'm being transparent with it because I'm not the only one in this situation, and I want people to know this. I wasn't going to share it all. I don't regret any of it, but some of it's just not. Some of it's more private, but I think more of us as leaders need to start speaking out about these situations. So I did this all for writing, for doing the work, all that, knowing it would be okay. I wasn't at the time writing or doing anything spiritually with my stuff. I was doing my own personal spirituality, but not publicly in any way. And when COVID hit, that's when my guides came to me and went, okay, those are extraterrestrials. This is what's going on here. These experiences you've had that you've suspected of being ET experiences and abduction experiences, yeah, those are real. And we want you to write about it and share it, because, if you share it, the world will see you more and be able to understand their own experiences more. I was like, hell no, that ain't happening. Which many of you know, I talk about that often. The whole hell no, that ain't not happening. That is not happening at all. So I gave in. I worked with them. I built trust, met my Sasquatch friends, had amazing experiences. And again, the writing journey started over again. So I started with urban fantasy, but then it started, okay, write your nonfiction books. So I started writing them and built up debt. Moved in with my parents for a brief period while my ex watched my cats, which was difficult because I had to leave everything with her, a person I did not trust one bit. After there was a lot of falseness behind things, but I had to just trust that spirit was going to protect everything, and went to my mom's with just my car and computer, basically, so I could do work. Moved into this apartment, started doing spirit art. Nobody knew about it. Went to conventions again as they picked up again after COVID, and started doing those. And then, the May of, was it 2022, I think, I released Unleash Your Spirit, which was a channeled book, and Unleash Your Spirit was completely channeled. I sat down, I typed it out, it flowed so quickly. They wrote some of it, I wrote some of it. I wrote it in a week, less than a week probably. I hyper focus, and so I can write books really fast. Once I know the outline, the plot, whatever is going on, it just poof flows right out of me, because I just write what I see in my head. And so we go to release Unleash Your Spirit, and You can find more of this on YouTube or that page on my website about why. Amazon banned my books. Most people buy books from Amazon. And I'm not joking when I say that there is a strong, anybody who's reading books, I strongly urge you to start supporting indie authors, because I'm not the only one this is happening to. And these big companies are, uh, they're not safe. They're not safe to work with at all. One, they strip you of your money and your ability to make an income. You know, when you're making 30 cents on a 99-cent sale, all those 99-cent book sales, they were 30 cents when I was on Amazon. I think they raised it. I think they switched the royalty. Might have been 70 cents one by the time I left, but that's not a lot of money. I mean, to make a living, you have to think about that. How many books do you have to sell to pay your rent, type of thing? They're not safe. They take away from creators. Um, and so they banned my book. They banned my book for no other reason than a policy in their, a line in their policy that said they can ban anybody for any reason they want and they don't have to explain it. And they were trying to get me on plagiarism, saying that I duplicated the cover, the artwork, the content, all this stuff. I'm like, I literally made everything from scratch, wrote everything myself. This is false. Caught them on it, and then I couldn't fight it. I didn't have the money to fight it at the time. So that was a problem for me. I realized they weren't going to have my back. They canned my business overnight. They were my printer. They were my ebook provider. Even though I had it with everything else, this was a company that owns that sector, basically has a monopoly on it. And so I was just like, I pulled it from all spaces. Debt starts to increase because I no longer have the capability to do that work with the fantasy stuff and the artwork and all the stuff I was doing before. So then I had to pivot. Spirit art. Those of you who know Nicole, she was like, go into spirit art. Like you need to release this. So I released it and I pivoted very quickly into spirit art. And I was doing that for free for a long time and built up on debt with that switch, and that sort of thing. The whole point of me saying this is just a common theme that I know other people are having in their lives. Got to a place where I was like, oh, I can actually do this on my own. I don't have to do this as a side thing. I can make this my living. And so it pivoted. I went to paid readings, to divine counsel transmissions, to all this other stuff. And everybody supported me, came out and drew, like tons of people supported me. I loved it. I couldn't believe it. And so I went through, I'm 2 years now doing this work and trying to give as much of it away for free as service work. So I decided to leave my web development job in February of 2022, which was 2023, last year, 2023. Told everybody, burnt the bridges. I had tried to leave many times. They knew it was coming, and I left. And things were good. Things were really, really good. And not in like in a super abundant way, but I was making my payments every month. My bank account was not, in a great place, a few $100s in it, but I had been in that space enough to trust, to know from doing the other business and doing the other writing work, to just trust, and it will grow over time. You don't have to worry about it. Then January hit and everything collapsed. I had taken every dime that I had earned extra over the years and put it into paying off the debts that I owed for building the business. So everything I saved went right back into the banks, which meant that even though I would make maybe a few hundred more than I needed, I wasn't keeping it and using it for what I needed to do. And this is the lesson. So January hit, finances crumbled, barely paid rent, was eating what I call brown, and was not eating well because I was eating just out of the pantry. like rice and beans type of meals because I couldn't afford food, couldn't afford cat food. Couldn't I'd come back from that trip from Arizona. Had a headlight out, brakes need put in it, and an oil change, and I couldn't even drive it at night. It's winter, it gets night early at early times. So it's just kind of been sitting because I haven't been able to put gas in it or drive it anywhere type of situation for 3 months. And so I was struggling, fighting with my guides. What happened? What's going on? Everything seemed to be ramping up a little bit more, building more trust, people buying readings, this and that, and it just all collapsed. And I sold some stuff, and I'm very grateful for it. I did sell some stuff in January, February, but it was like, it wasn't even enough to cover bare minimums. I barely made my rent in February, barely made it in March. March was very late. And a lot of my bills, even right now, are like past due type of situations. So I sat down and I was like, what's going on? I was fighting, I was crying, I was angry, I was just no idea what to do because I'm like, I'm just gonna lose everything. And I went, you know what, fine. I'm gonna do my move. I'm gonna leave. And I'm gonna leave and I'm going to get into the car or get into a bus. I was gonna get a bus, which are super cheap for those of you looking. They don't talk about that. You can buy a bus for $100 to $150 a month, 5 to 6 grand, really easy. You have to do the work yourself, but I'd been researching this for like 2 to 3 years, if not longer. I'd been talking about it for years. And I went to my parents because I knew I would need a cosigner to buy one because of my debt to income and my income ratio. But I had all the math down. This is what it'll save me. It'll save me over half of my expenses. I won't have water, gas, or water, heat, sewer, electric, internet. I have my phone, but not like internet that I have to pay for. The renter's insurance, all these things that add up when you have a place. And so I was like, I'll save a huge amount of money doing this, and took it to my parents, and they had supported me throughout the years doing this in a way that was very much like they knew it was my authentic self. Like, you should be on the road, you should be in a van, you should be in a bus, you should have a tiny home, whatever it is, that would be the best thing for you. And I'm like, yeah, it would. I told them I was like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a bus. I need a place to park it, which was true because you can't park it at the apartment. I need a place to park it so I can and this was the thing, tear the seats out, unless I bought one without the seats already in it, which was what I was going to try to do, was convince the dealership, hey, just take the seats out, keep them and sell them or use them for parts. Take the seats out, put a mattress frame in, which was literally just bolting, screwing 2x4s together. You don't have to do anything fancy. I don't need the beautiful interiors that people show, the refrigerators, microwaves, stoves, showers, all that. I literally just wanted a bare bones bus to put my cats in so they had room to run around, and for me to have a place to sleep in so I could travel with more than what my car could carry. Not a whole lot more, but more than what my car could carry. So and this is longer. I know this is getting longer, but I'm being felt and guided to share more of it for those of you watching. So thank you for sticking with me. Again, if you get to this point, at least watch the last few minutes if you're interested in divine counsel transmission. So I take the bus to them and I say, hey, I need a place to park. And they're like, it won't fit. And I keep explaining like the idea of this short bus, that it's short, it's small, not big. No, you can't. It'll get stuck in the yard. We don't have room. You can't turn it around. All kinds of reasons why. Like, not even being like, well, why don't we do it and give it a try? And worst case scenario, we have to figure something else out in the moment where to park it. No, it was all kinds of pushback. And then it turned into, why would you do that? You can't do that. You can't live like that. You need one of the reasons was you need a fridge. You cannot live without a fridge. I live without a fridge all the time. I don't even use my fridge now. I showed a friend the other day. I was like, literally, my fridge is empty other than like a few vegetables because like leafy greens and stuff you have to keep in it. Like I barely use the thing. Yes, it's a nice to have, but uh, you know, one of the reasons was, well, it's not safe. You can't lock the doors. I was like, not worried about that. You can lock the doors. You have to put the locks on. Like that's it. There's tons of videos about how to do it. So this whole thing about a bus, and the crazy thing was, I wasn't doing anything to it. I was just taking the seats out, putting a bare minimum mattress in so that I could convert it later. That was the whole thing. I will convert it later. I just need it to get on the road, to save money. And the money I save will actually be able to go into the bus and keep me afloat with my other debts and stuff. So then it turned into, well, you have no idea what you're doing. You need to do more research. You need to do XYZ. You need to do this, do that. Being treated like a child. And then I asked them, or I realized where this was going, because she said, well, who's going to take care of the dogs? And they both started like, yeah, who's going to take care of the dogs? I watch the dogs once every 6 months for 3 days. They're 2 Rottweilers. Somebody else can take care of them. One of them's really friendly. The other one just needs some, acclimation to people before they're alone. I realized they were keeping me around for the dogs. That was a wake-up call to me. That was a real wake-up call when I realized that. And then I asked, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. They're fine with me sleeping in my Subaru and a tent without anything, without my cats, and paying for the apartment, draining my expenses while I'm not there. But they're not okay with me getting a bus for $100, $150 a month. But that does not make sense at all. So I asked them this question, and it was, okay, well, I need to go to California for 3 months. If I go out west for 3 months, will you be okay watching the cats for 3 months? Oh yeah, the cats don't bother me. We can watch them. We can go over every other day and check on them. That's not a problem at all. In what world does that make sense? Here, pay for all those expenses that are draining you for 3 months, but and live in a tent on your own in the wilderness, and we're okay with that. That's safer than having a walled bus, protection from the wind and water and cats, and saving money. It made no sense at all. So I knew, okay, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm done. I didn't fight with them either. If any of you are thinking I fought with them, I'm like, no, I remained calm. I realized I was very observational. I realized in the moment what was going on. I started asking the questions to figure out the truth of it, because people can't hide that from us if we ask the right questions. And I started asking and realized, oh, they're keeping me around for the dogs. That's the whole point of this for 2 years, was been the dogs. And it was funny because I had been given signs for the past 2 weeks. Go see Maggie, the Rottweiler who's older, who really loves me. Like, you need to spend time with Maggie during the week. And I couldn't figure out why, because my parents are gone during the week. So I'll walk over on the nice days and I'm like, oh, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. And it's a hard thing even for me to say right now. But I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. So let's take a minute. I might get emotional with some of this. Anyhow, I started going over there and spending time with her, and then realized like why I had been stuck for 2 years wasn't actually because of me. It was because other people wanted me in the area and their energy was pulling me here. Even the trees have been telling me for 6 months, you need to leave. And I just haven't been able to. I haven't been able to get out financially. So everything crumbled. I went into a space where I was not doing okay at all. I had even thought, like, if this isn't working, if I'm not safe, I'm probably just going to have to stop doing it type of thing. And I came home and I realized, you know what? I'm leaving. I don't care what it takes. I I worked with the the banks for the credit cards, and the banks were not willing to work with me. I've been a customer for 20 years, barely ever missed a payment. To this point, they're not working with me yet. So I have to call them again every cycle just to see if they will. But I told them, okay, I'm not paying it. You know, if you're, I'm in a space of hardship, and this is crazy. This is ridiculous. There's no reason you can't work with me on this until I get to a better space. After 20 years of being a customer with a great record. And so everything was crumbling down. I was scared. I was frightened. I was crying, angry, all the emotions. And finally, my friend and I sat down, and her and I, we figured a bunch of stuff out. It took a lot of work, but we figured a bunch of stuff out. And I went, you know what? We kind of realized, like, if I take the seats out of the car, I can make enough room to put the hats in it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna be doing that this week. There's snow on the ground now. It was 70s, 80s 3 days ago. There's snow on the ground now, so I'm not doing it right now. And if you hear my cat, it's because when I get emotional, she's like a transmuter. So stop it, Paula. Come on. If I don't hold her, she's just gonna keep screaming. So I decided to do that, and then other people started posting their stories. And I realized, oh man, this is not just me, it's happening to others, where we can't afford food, we can't afford the rent, all this other stuff. And I'm not trying to promote that, because it actually shifted. I shared my story, I wrote it as a way to process and to like support people, and did not expect the support to actually come. I wasn't asking for anything. I was just saying, hey, I'm in this spot too. I almost didn't make rent this month. My bills are, XYZ. And I have no idea what's coming on the 1st of April. And I sat down and I had figured out, I was like, I need X amount for the car payment, because I realized they could repossess the car. Luckily, I called them yesterday when I posted the story, and they were like, oh no, your history with us is like impeccable. You don't need to worry about it. Today is the last day to get the payment in to not hit a late fee, but because of your history, it's not going to go into like a repossession type mode type thing. And so I was like, thank God, because I was up all night trying to get through an automated system, fighting with it to find an agent. And I didn't have the money to pay him. I was just like, I'll try to figure it out. I posted this story, and people started donating. Some bought readings, most donated money, no reading necessary type of thing. I was able to get about $600 to $700 yesterday, which I am extremely grateful for. I paid my car, so no late fees on that. Perfectly good, in a great space. I had enough left over for my car insurance, which hits Thursday. And then I had a chunk left over, and I was like, I have these goals. That chunk is going to fix the car, because I'm not paying anything else. They don't know this, but I'm no longer paying the internet, the electric, the water, sewer, credit card, all that stuff. I'm not doing it. Now, that's not financial advice. Let me be clear about that. You cannot avoid your debts, but there's a reason for this. I'm taking all of my money that is extra and getting myself west. After the support that came out, I couldn't believe how many people said, we've seen your pictures when you're west and you need to be out west. You're happier out west. Who saw it from my trips, who know I can do more on the road, who realize, people who reached out and were like, hey, I'm near this place. And I'm like, I'm going there. Like, I already have plans to be there, type of thing. And who sent support and just supporting the journey without me ever asking. Straight out asking, I should say. I posted this story in solidarity, and I think at one point I mentioned the readings and like, hey, if you feel nudged, here you go. It's not like, please help me type scenario. But I did that. And I couldn't believe the support that came out. Galactics were telling me it will be okay, it will be fine. I met some little cute, like 3 days ago, I was sitting on a beach in these, I was doing breath work. I popped over to a beach with my star maps, saw these little, I don't know, balls that were like crab beings, but they weren't crabs. They were like little fat people that were 4 inches tall, big hermit crab style things, but people. And fleshy, I should say, is the word, fleshy, not hard shelled. And they were running around the beach collecting shells, and they had shell piles everywhere. And they were like, ooh, who are you? And all that. And the first thing one of them said to me when I popped in, he looked up at me. He sees in my feeling. He goes, oh, you don't have to worry about whatever that thing is called money. I don't know what that is, but you don't have to worry about that. You're okay. You'll be okay. Don't worry about that. Stop worrying about that. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, how do you even know this? No, I can see it in your energy. There's this thing called money. What is that? So this thing called money, I explained it to them. They go, oh, that's like our shells, but we don't do it like that. Like, why would you do it like that? Why would you be fixed to it? We collect shells off the beach, and they pile the shells, and every pile is owned by somebody, and they're like, it is owned. People will they will come over and be like, can I have that shell, and try to take it? And they're like, no, that's my shell. And then they go, and they spoke real fast like this and stuff too, which is probably why I'm doing it. And they go, but we trade the shells. We take the shells, we trade the shells, we take them, we go from this pile to that pile, and we go, oh, hey, I want that shell. Here's the shell. Here's the shell. And they're like, that's our form of money. But it's not like money. Why is your money like that? Why don't you just trade shells? So I had that experience, and I went, they're telling me this too. And that was the day before I posted that story. So anyhow, I posted, I got amazing feedback, an amazing community, the complete opposite of my family, who I am walking away from. They don't know I'm leaving right now. They don't know that I will be heading out, that I will be doing that. I had already planned months ago, telling a friend that when I make this move, I'm only going to give them 3 to 4 days notice, because they will try to stop it. And I definitely know that now, that they will actively try to stop me from doing it. So I'm going to basically burn my bridges here and head off. Here's the whole purpose of it. This video was far longer than I thought it was going to be, probably because some people prefer video and others don't. There's more to the story on my website, awakenwithwillow.com. Here's the point. I'm converting the vehicle. I am taking the seats out. I'm putting a board in for a bed and emptying it. I need a few things. And so this is me asking for help now. This is me saying, I know the help will return to you if you have the financial abundance to help me. Do not put yourself into a bad spot by helping me. Please don't. If you have the abundance and your guides are like, yes, please send him some money. This is me saying it won't go to waste. This is what it will go to. I have enough almost to fix the car. I'm going to call them today. I'm very excited about that, because I've been I've been worried about that. I have enough to do that. I did my budget, and I'm like, okay, I don't need much more. I need like uh, less than 1,000 probably to make this work, because and I don't even need that, because really it's more to make it work more easily. And this is why getting a roof rack, getting a rack for my bike to put that on there, some of the miscellaneous things I might need, a solar power unit that I'm not going to build one out. I'm just going to get a Jackery. For those of you if you don't know what a Jackery is, it's a company that builds solar, like portable solar units, which it would be more effective to build your own and just buy the panels and the batteries and all that. And I don't have the capacity to do that right now. So I'm just going to buy the Jackery, use it to get by for now, to power my laptop and phone so that I can do work on the road, that and like that. So those three things, and the yeah, that was it. It's less. It's like less than $1,000 total. So here's the point. If you have been nudged towards a divine counsel transmission, I know there are 3 of you out there. I know that. I know that because I got the downloads 2 months ago for them, and they just float in my mind, spinning like, when are we going to be drawn? When are we going to be drawn? When are we going to be drawn? My guides came to me, and they have started this process of downloading completely the information I need before it even comes, so that I can do this in more of a road state and not have to get into such a deep channeled state. So the channel already comes through and is stored in the back of my mind. There's 3 of them that I can see the shapes of and the outlines, and when I actually put the pencil to paper, they'll become far more clear. Those of you who are feeling that nudge, I'm not asking you to buy one to force yourself into it, anything. You will always hear me say this with anything that I talk about, and I don't promote my services like often in new posts. I repost to my story, but for the most part, I don't just say, hey, buy my stuff, this is what it is type of thing. It's usually the same post over and over again, just being reshared. This is the point. They all will say, if you feel intuitively nudged or guided, and that is specifically, there's a point that the point to that is, energetically you have to be in the space to be ready for it, and you have to be, these aren't things to just do out of fun. Some people like to do the spirit art readings out of fun, and that's okay. They're smaller, more individual. Divine counsel transmission is not something to do out of fun. It is very fun for people. You can read the client reviews. I can put you in touch with clients if you're interested. It's very fun for people. But the point is, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy work. It's a lot of growth. It's a lot of healing. It's a lot of activations, downloads, all that sort of thing. If you are nudged, I will offer the first person who comes to me and says, I will buy it, 20% off. That's like $400 some off. If you are the second person, 15%, third person, 10%. First, second, and third. I do not discount those transmissions. They've actually gone up in price every month throughout last year almost, because they are so intense and involve so much of my time and energy. And I'm even told they're not sitting at the value they should be, but they're at the value I want them at right now. And I'm comfortable. I'm not raising the price for a while anyhow. At least not planning on it unless there's like some big influx of people asking for them. So one of those transmissions will set my car up, will relieve me of this place, and will break me completely free to do service work and to get out west and start doing events. start cultivating my own events, because I'll have public land and different things. I'll be able to do, camp anywhere, find little places. I have contacts on the West Coast, be like, hey, can we use your place, type of thing, and have little in-person events. Those of you supporting me, donating, buying spirit art readings, this will come back to you threefold. This will come back to you because in the future, one of my goals has always been to do my work for free, to do my spirit artwork for free, to pick and choose and be like, I just want to do this stuff for free. I want to do the stuff I love, and do that as service work, provided as long as I'm provided for. And so in the future, you're setting me free to help set you free and others free in the future. And it only takes one transmission, far less than one transmission to do it. I know there are three people who are feeling that nudge, at least three, feeling that nudge, because I can see them there. And I've seen them one of them for 3 months, another one for about 2 months. Actually, the other two probably about 2 months now. So you will not regret it. Trust me in that. Every one of my clients has been super, super happy. And I can put you in touch. I know it's a big expense. I can put you in touch with them if you are hesitant. But that will set me free so fast. And I will be forever, eternally grateful for those of you who do that. You can also donate and buy spirit art readings, do smaller value things. That helps a ton. That's how I was able to get this far over the past day. And I'm super grateful for all of you too. The point is, it just takes one of those transmissions versus a lot of the little stuff. So if you're in a space to do something like that and you feel called to do it, please consider that transmission. 20% off for the first person who comes through, 15 for the second, 10 for the next. And then I'll get to work on them. I'll be on the road super quick, have all the supplies, and just one catches me up, gives me enough to catch up on everything, and probably negotiate something with this bank who is not going to be happy with me if it keeps going on. So let me know if you're interested. Again, reach out directly to me on Instagram, social media, my email, awakenwithwillow.com, @awakenwithwillow on social media. Again, if you're going through this stuff, you're not the only one. The leaders are definitely going through it, but the purpose is to set us free in various ways. For me, it's true freedom, getting out there. For others, it's getting out of unsafe spaces to be in safer spaces as things transition. And the whole point is to help us all be in a space that we can help others when it's time for us to help others, when the collective needs more of our help. We can't help you if we're in these spaces that are draining us, type of thing. And that's the thing, is everybody thinks that because my example is I post artwork all the time, so they probably think I'm doing, my friend was like, they probably think you're doing readings all the time, Will. And I went, I never thought about that. She's like, you're posting artwork all the time, so people probably think you're doing perfectly fine and just doing all kinds of readings when it's personal projects that you're working on. And that's the case. And so you see us posting all this stuff, but you don't see the struggle. You don't see the other things. And thank you for watching this far. If you've watched the whole thing, I think on YouTube I can do chapters. I'm going to try to do chapters, split some of this out. But thank you for watching the whole thing, sticking with me. It has not been easy. I appreciate all the support. And this is me asking, if you can help, please help. And I'm not asking for anything for free. I'm saying, purchase a reading, purchase and adopt a spirit. That's lower cost. Adopt a spirit is a great way. It's where you get the rock or crystals, spirits with them in a spirit art reading. Purchase, feel free to purchase things rather than just donate. And I will be happy, more than happy to do the energy exchange for you. Or donations are greatly accepted too. I mean, that's everything is grateful for all of it. I just don't want people to feel like they're like, oh, hey, give something for nothing. It's like, no. And even if you give something for nothing, remember, it'll come back threefold because you're helping me in this space without expectations or anything of that nature. And once I'm able to be out there, I mean, one of the things they've always said, I haven't written a new book here for 2 years. I'm a writer at heart. I'm a writer, not the artist. The art part's part of it, but mostly a writer. I haven't written anything because every time I sit down, they say, not until you're in the mountains. Don't even try. The energy is not here. And that's the truth. I lived here most of my life in this area until I moved with my old partner to the Appalachians. I wrote in the mountains. I never wrote here. I never did art here. I have to force myself to do the art here. It's kind of difficult to even sometimes sit down and do the artwork. The writing arc, not until you're in the mountains. I have a time travel book to write that I already have figured out. I have my fourth sequential book in the fantasy series, like my 9th book total, already written. I have to edit it. I have another 1 or 2 books to write there to finish that off. Tons more awakening books to write that I know of, and just all kinds of things. And so you helping, if you help set me free, this will come back so much for you, because you are putting me into a space to help so many other people. And that's the thing. I will be able to help so many other people by doing this and being in this space. And the more I can generate income off of things like divine counsel transmissions and recurring revenue, the more likely I am to be able to give other stuff away for free. One of my goals, I can't do it right now, one of my goals is to give the ebooks away, to write them, to let people have them. But I need to be in a space where I'm generating income and not being, drained through the 3D world. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm just grateful for every one of you, and I love you all.